Hey guys, my name's Alberto, aka Destroyer 40, aka Subscribe for Food, aka Subscribe for Nuts, ha ha ha. Aka I have a trillion channels, aka I'm the ghost with most. That just sounds good. Once again, my name's Alberto. Today I'm gonna do a review of Ric Flair. Um, if you all know Ric Flair, I cannot go over his whole career. It's way, way too much. And there's even a lot of matches we can't see because they're house matches and stuff like that. I did find old videos on him, so you know I did find some stuff that I want to see in the beginning of his career. So we're just gonna go over memory lane. Um, I did not. I didn't get to see where he was usually at NWA slash WCW, and I didn't get to see Ric Flair mainly till. Well, let's get into it. This is my review of the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Yeah. So before I get started, I'm gonna go what I was talking about. I didn't get. I was a young kid. I didn't get. I'm in my mid 40s, so I didn't get cable till around I was 10. I don't know, somewhere around there. And I didn't get to see a lot of the Nature Boy Ric Flair till I got my cable, which was I was 10 years old, somewhere around there. It's more detail than that, but let's just round it off like that. And so I had to go. I what would happen is when you see Ric Flair matches, I would go by what the announcers say, and they would sometimes give you a little history on him when he started and everything, which was when I started to see around 89, 90 ish. His career didn't start all the way to around 1972, somewhere around there. He didn't have his first match in 1974 till I get there. So I just wanted to let you know I had to research, go on YouTube, going back way back, and go look for those matches and stuff. But I did know some stuff about it because the announcers would always say, "Hey, he won." For example, he won the U.S. title from Bobo Brazil somewhere in the late '70s and all that. So I had to research for it. But I usually saw Ric Flair mainly not when he was in NWA Crockett, which I had to go back and look. I was when I would usually see him on television it was in WCW. So let's go jump into it, and I'm gonna give you the knowledge, and we're gonna go over what you're gonna get over this is if you've seen Ric Flair and you know about him. Well, we're gonna go down memory lane and talk about him. If you're a young kid and you're actually a wrestling, where you're like gonna be a wrestling historian and you actually like the history of pro wrestling, well, you're gonna learn the knowledge I know of him, and mine will be specifics as you'll see from my point of view what matches I've seen and all that. All right, so let's get started a review of the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Kiss dealing, stealing, limousine riding, son of a gun, jet flying, son of a gun. All right. So Ric Flair, I'm not going to too much details, but I do have some details. He was born 1949. He was born out of Nashville, Tennessee. No, he was not born out of North Carolina or Minnesota, other states he represents. I'm going to get this out of the way. Interesting enough, I thought he did not know his parents. I really like his real parents. When we'll get into the story now, he did not know his real parents, at least for a long time. But according to Wikipedia, he has parents. Their names are there. You can go look them up. But I have not seen any evidence that he's actually met them. I don't know if it's sometimes they say Wikipedia is full of it. I don't know. But I can tell he was adopted, and and before I go further, I did read Ric Flair's book, and I have seen several documentaries. I do have his videotape, one of them, going over Ric Flair's career. So I get a lot of knowledge of that. He was adopted by a doctor, and he had an adopted mother. In the tape, they show it black and white that his dad's in a suit and Ric Flair's like in a pedal car or something like that. And they have pictures of him. They have a handsome picture of him, like he's graduating high school or something, young, short hair and all that. Before he had the long nature boy hair. Said he played football, amateur wrestling, of course. And then he grew up. He would get into trouble, but probably around his town and stuff like that. Going back to when he was a baby, there was this whole scandal scene where they were robbing babies and stuff like that. That's how he was taken from his real parents, his biological parents, and given to his adoptive parents. But let's get back to where he causes trouble in his town and stuff like that. He goes to college. He goes to he, he's in Minnesota and stuff like that. And then he's gonna run into he's gonna go into a wrestling training camp. I almost forgot his name, but the wrestling camp is somewhere, I don't know, maybe around 72, early 70s, is run by Vern Gagne, the the owner of the AWA Wrestling Association, company, promotion, whatever. Um, According to the book, um, Ric Flair is souring on the training. According to his book, he says he did not like, the training was too tough, too intense. Heard Vern Gagne. Oh, there's video on it that Vern Gagne is running his training school out of a barn. I don't even know where they have to run, and it's gonna go through it. And is known for a torturous training camp. It's known that it said that Ken Patera's there also in that camp, along with as the Iron Sheik. Yes, the Iron Sheik that lost the title to Hulk Hogan. He's there along with others, and I mean those are big names, man. They're good. Well, they're not big names there, but I think Ken Patera was a big name because I believe he's the Olympic bodybuilder, and the Iron Sheik is known for being Secret Service for he's from Iran, for the leader over there. So they're pretty. Those are gonna be big names along with Ric Flair. But yeah, Ric Flair soured in the training camp, and he said in his book that he said he was gonna quit training camp, and Vergagne says went over there and took him out of his house. I don't know, beat him up a little bit, slapped him around. You're not gonna quit. And then Ric Flair again, he quit another. He went back, but he quit another day, and then Vergagne was like, "Don't make me come over there and slap you around again." And then after that, Ric Flair stick with a training camp. It's no so he stuck with it, and Ric Flair began wrestling for the AWA. There's stories along with that Ric Flair really idolized Dusty Rhodes, and that he asked somebody, or I think it was Dusty Rhodes. He asked him, "I want to be the cousin of Dusty Rhodes, Ricky Rambling Dusty Rhodes." And then Dusty Rhodes was like, "No, you don't want to do that. Look at your name, Flair. Just change the E. I think its name is spelled Fleir or something like that. It's like spell it like to LF. Excuse me for my spelling. AIR or RE or whatever. Like, the main thing is change it to a name. You got Ric Flair. That's a good name." So, Ric Flair has his first match with a guy named George Iron Slansky or something like that. Iron Claw Slansky. And it turns out to be a 10-minute draw. That is what's said in the records. I tried looking for that match. I could not find it. But there is this video claims to be Ric Flair's first match, and it doesn't have the name of the. I think it does have the name of the opponent, but you have to see the video. But I'm not gonna mention the name because I want you to find it, and it's gonna be like something like Ric Flair's first televised match, And oh, I need to mention because when I started watching wrestling, like in the 80s or 90s, they hadn't mentioned somebody mentioned somewhere that Ric Flair was big and fat. Y'all seen Ric Flair? Usually especially when he's prime, he's lean. Usually lean, has a nice body and all that. But I'm like, okay, I'm aware of this, so I'm gonna go. I went on YouTube and I'm gonna go look up the first matches, and yes, he was big. You could say he's fat, but he's not. To me, he's not fat. He looks like he looks like. Who was that Russian guy that was with the Iron Sheik? Nikolai Volkov? I already forgot his name. Nikolai, the Russian freak man from Zangief from Street Fighter looks like that, kind of, but not as because Zangief is from Street Fighter. You know him, the Russian wrestler. He's like big and toned. Well, Ric Flair doesn't look that toned. He looks more big, but the footage is so old you can't really tell. So Ric Flair, I did see that first televised match. He was fighting a guy who was bigger than him, because Ric Flair is like 6'1". This other dude was like 6'4", and it was real fat. Now that guy was really fat. Ric Flair looked muscular, big, like a big bodybuilder. He didn't look too much fat. And the match, I saw it. It was just there. There's not much to remember. Just two guys hitting each other and stuff like that. Nothing spectacular. Um, and I will mention later on, Ole Anderson later on is going to say, hey, Ric Flair wrestled the same match. Not literally. In the 80s and 90s, yes, I will say it's about almost the same thing. But Ric Flair, in his early days, wrestles different because he hasn't mastered his craft yet. So he wrestles that guy in his first televised match, and it has to be AWA. Ric Flair then goes to Mid Atlantic. I believe that's owned by the Crockett's. Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling, and NWA territory. And he wins the Mid Atlantic Tag Team Champions. Him and his partner, they beat Paul Jones and Bruggers. And he battles Wahoo McDaniel. They trade the belt, the Mid Atlantic Heavyweight Championship belt. They trade belts there. With McDaniel beating Flair, and then Flair finally beats it for McDaniel. And they go back and forth with the title. They're gonna have a feud there. If y'all don't know who Wahoo McDaniel is, look at his name. I mean, his name kind of represents the guy he are. He's an interesting guy. He has a head chief, like a the Indians use or Native American, sorry, the head chief feathers and stuff like that. And he's big. He used to play for the New York Jets and I think the Dallas Cowboys. I'm not sure, but he was definitely New York Jets. I don't want to talk about him too much, but this guy's too great, quite a character. Wahoo. It's said that he played for the New York Jets and he was a defense. And when he make a spectacular tackle, whatever, they go Wahoo, Wahoo, which I would have to see. I would love to see film on that if the fans actually did that. I mean, I believe it. And Wahoo's a tough guy, man. Now getting back to the wrestling, he was thick. Used the Indian headgear. I mean, he'd take it off when he wrestled, and he would chop Flair. Flair would chop him back. Um, and Ric Flair has claimed they have asked Ric Flair whose chops are most hard hitting and hurt the most, Wahoo McDaniel or Ron Garvin. And Flair was like, Wahoo McDaniel chopped me the hardest. Boom, chop him in the chest or chop him. I saw Ric Flair wrestle Snuka before Snuka went to the WWE. That was very interesting. Side note, I was intrigued when I heard Snuka actually tagged with Paul Orndorff in the NWA. Sorry to get off the topic, but when we mentioned Snuka versus Flair, Flair and Snuka, same thing, chopping. There was one match where I saw Flair. He actually jumped at his opponent with a. I think the Undertaker uses this thing. What is it called? Double throat, whatever. Like they chopped it like that. And I actually saw Flair in one of his matches. I don't know if it was against Snuka, but it was one of the other guys. And he jumped and he did that. I had never seen that move before. Um, Flair versus Snuka. Flair versus I saw matches with him versus Blackjack Mulligan, which is Barry Windham's dad. Y'all know Barry Windham. Y'all know NWA. You know Barry Windham, one of the four horsemen. And Jack Black Mulligan's a big mother man. He's big. He's huge. I think he's between 6'7" and 6'9" something. Big hands and stuff. Some I'd be afraid. And this dude, I'm gonna call it his patent because what I know from I shouldn't. I haven't seen them matches, but they're kind of hard to find. But that dude is huge, and how is he doing? He is doing a move I kind of forgot for a while. I haven't seen wrestlers do it that much. He does the jumping spin around elbow. He throws you against the ropes. You're gonna run back. He's gonna run towards you. You're gonna jump at him. You're gonna do the spin. You're gonna turn around and jump at him and hit him with the elbow, which I don't know. That's kind of hard to do. They usually do the standing one, but this one you get to turn around and then turn your elbow, hit your opponent while he's running at you. And this dude, and I mean, it looks hard to do even when you're thin and you can jump some. I mean, imagine a guy that's like Blackjack Mulligan, that's not far from. I don't think he's that far from being 7 feet, but he's like 6'7", 6'9", doing that. And I saw him do it twice. I saw Ric Flair fight him in a cage match, and I saw Ric Flair fight him in a regular match. And it's kind of weird because in my time, I'm used to seeing Ric Flair win all the time and hardly ever losing. And here he does lose some. He loses some of the matches with Wahoo and Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, there's too many. There's a lot of names to mention. I saw matches with Ric Flair facing Jack Briscoe. I saw Jack Briscoe beat him on a live televised event. Not live, but it was live at the time. Like it was good picture quality. That usual NWA. There's not that many fans there, kind of deal. And they're screaming. You can hear them. Ric Flair. No, Jack Briscoe pins Ric Flair, and then I finally found a match where Ric Flair pinned Jack Briscoe. This one has me stumped, the Ric Flair and Roddy Piper, because I seen video and it's probably one of my tapes, and I'm not gonna lie, man, I don't see that tape too much. I have too many movies and tapes to go through, and this one has Ric Flair talking like side by side with Roddy Piper with an announcer interviewing them. They look like they're gonna be friends, but I have not seen video in that era, late '70s or early '80s, where Ric Flair and Piper are tag team partners. I think there are some. And I may have seen one, but I don't remember. I would think if they're talking together as friends, there would be more video of them wrestling together as friends. Maybe wrestling on the same tag team versus opponents. But I did see matches back then in the league where Ric Flair actually wrestled Piper, and I remember one where Ric Flair beat Roddy Piper. So later on in WWE, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't like WWE so much, but I would watch it because that's all there was. Somewhere in the '90s, I think Ric Flair was going to WWE, and Piper's like, I know Flair, like he's beaten him before. Ric Flair was far as I know, was beating him up in in Mid Atlantic or early Jim Crockett Promotions. Um, with a new NWA when Jim Crockett starts taking over territories or whatever. Oh, okay. We already went through to me some of the small stuff, even though it's interesting. Oh, before I get it, before I get into the world titles. Uh, can't forget, man. Almost forgot. Ric Flair and Greg Valentine, Greg the Hammer Valentine. Y'all remember that guy from the WWF? Before Greg went to WWF, he was tagging with Ric Flair, and they were feuding in the Mid Atlantic with who who Ole Anderson and Gene Anderson, the original Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Um, I saw some of those matches. They were there. I think I saw Ric Flair doing more risky, high, high flying maneuvers and stuff. And I was like, he wouldn't do that now, you know, because Ric Flair in the late '80s, early '90s, when I was seeing him, I don't know. It's like you wouldn't see him do a missile drop kick off the top rope. You know what I mean? He would do the flippy thing, but he's mastered the art where he does it really good. I mean, it's dangerous, but he's like mastered it where you always see him wrestle against you. I'm like, that must not be dangerous. He keeps doing it. He would do the Ric Flair would do that jump off the rope where he just lands on his feet, and then you're standing up and he hits you with his with his um with his hand. I mean, come on, man, that's no 450 splash, man. That's like safely jumping off the rope. He's smart, I guess. He doesn't want to get hurt. So yeah, they trade the belts, the Mid Atlantic belts. Uh, Ric Flair, Greg Valentine versus Minnesota Wrecking Crew, Ole and Gene Anderson. It was reported that Gene was a mean SOB. So was Ole Anderson, but I think Gene was like tougher. He was like the Arn Anderson. Well, I don't know, kind of like the tougher, like the rule enforcer, and maybe like Ole was the brains from the operation. That's what I got from seeing the matches I saw. So they trade belts and stuff like that. I don't know if this. I think I read somewhere where there's a part where they started saying they were cousins, but they have said that they were cousins, but they didn't like each other or something like that. Keeping it all in the family. And I did hear that. I almost forgot about Ric Flair's plane crash. You see, Ric Flair was in a plane with some people. I think Bruggers was one of them. Johnny Valentine was definitely there. Some other people. And Ric Flair in that plane crash, I believe it was around '74. No, I don't know, somewhere around there. They went on a small plane. I do remember that story from the book, some parts. And they were about to crash. One of the people or maybe one of the wrestlers on the plane, I don't know, it was like four or five of them, said something about, hey, they were so scared. They say, my shoes don't fit in my suitcase or something like that. And they had the plane crash in a small plane. Some people died. Johnny Valentine was on there. Greg Valentine's dad. Yes, it was Greg Valentine's dad. He's related, if you're wondering. And he got seriously injured or disabled from it. Like, he was not able to wrestle again. And I think he messed up his leg real bad. Ric Flair broke his back. I believe it's in 3 places. And Ric Flair has to be out for months. I don't know, 4 to 7 months, something like that. And he had to go to the doctor. And then Ric Flair says, the doctor says, I can't tell you if you're gonna be able to wrestle again. You're just gonna have to wait and see. And I like during matches, sometimes they go like, if you're gonna battle Ric Flair, you're gonna want to go for his back. You want to really beat him, Sounds horrible, but it's true. Reportedly, what I heard is that Johnny Valentine, before Ric Flair became Greg Valentine's tag team partner, they had chosen Johnny Valentine to be Ric Flair's partner. And since the accident, Ric Flair was able to wrestle and not Johnny Valentine. Well, they teamed up with, since Ric Flair was still, it took him a while to recovered. They tagged up with Johnny Valentine's son, Greg Valentine. There, and then hence you have the the feud with the Andersons and Flair and Greg the Hammer Valentine. I'm gonna say Greg Gagne. Sorry, that would be uh, Gagne's son, Vern Gagne's son. So, anyways, you have the feuds with Mid-Atlantic Belts, Andersons, Ric Flair, and Greg Valentine, and now you're gonna now we're gonna get close to. Um, I'll mention some other stuff real quick before I get into the world titles. The world titles, Ric Flair's one of the major ones. He feuded. I think he took Paul Jones's world television title Mid Atlantic, and he battled Ricky the Dragon Steamboat for Mid Atlantic. Now, keep in mind later on, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna mention Ricky the Dragon Steamboat again, but it is said that through Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat's career, they have wrestled hundreds of times. A lot of 1 hour matches, and unfortunately enough, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but a lot of them are going to be non-televised matches. We know this, we know this. Just common sense. They can't televise all of their matches, but they're good matches. But usually the same thing. It's the chopping. Ric Flair does his patented chop to chest, figure four, leg lock. He does a lot of. He'll get you that by the head like this, and Steamboat does his chop and his chops, copies Flair. Oh my gosh, hit the table. I just chopped the table. I hope I didn't break it. Right? Um, he does the chops, chop away. Okay, now we're gonna get into Ric Flair's major titles that I know of. Ric Flair wrestles Dusty Rhodes um, for the belt, and he beats Dusty Rhodes for that belt. And I believe that's the match where Ric Flair puts Dusty Rhodes. I mean, you have the battle of chops, and Dusty Rhodes likes to use the punches and stuff like that. His elbow, right? Dusty Rhodes uses his elbow to the head, and Ric Flair's like, right. But to the ending of the match, I believe that's the match where Ric Flair puts Dusty Rhodes in the figure four leg lock, and Dusty Rhodes he knocks out from the pain, and he can no longer continue. So Ric Flair, that's his first. That's his first heavyweight NWA world champion, like the main one. It's not the Mid Atlantic Championship. Now it's the NWA Championship. And so it's interesting. I mean, Dusty Rhodes was Big Cheese back then. He was very popular, and that was a big stepping stone. His first World Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair also battles Kerry Von Erich. He was supposed to wrestle David. Everybody thought David was gonna beat David Von Erich was gonna beat Ric Flair, which is taller than Kerry Von Erich, and I think he was more popular. But David Von Erich dies in Japan, so now they're gonna put Ric Flair with Kerry Von Erich. They're gonna wrestle each other, and they're gonna wrestle at WCCW in Texas, which I'm from Texas. I'm from South Texas, so I know a lot about the Von Erichs. They would always give them on TV. And since David died, they're gonna put Kerry Von Erich versus Ric Flair. They're gonna have it a Star Wars event. I think it's in Houston, Texas, but they call it Star Wars. Why I don't know. And I think they even do the thing with Star Wars. I guess I don't know, man. I guess because Star Wars was a big thing then. So Kerry Von Erich wrestles Ric Flair. The match is there. I don't see. It's not very long. To me, it looks very watered down. I saw that match, and I think Kerry Von Erich pins Ric Flair with a backslide. 1, 2, 3 pins Ric Flair, and of course the whole Von Erich tribe are gonna go towards towards Kerry. Yeah, to Kerry Von Erich, and they're gonna run to the ring, hug him, and all. Even Fritz Von Erich, owner of WCCW, comes out, and also, aka Kerry Von Erich's dad. They all come out. Mike Von Erich, I think the other Von Erich's Kevin Von Erich. They all hug and all that. Um, and then in Japan, Ric Flair gets a rematch with Kerry Von Erich and beats him. Now, in Ric Flair's book, it says at one time Kerry Von Erich wrestled Ric Flair and he was like on drugs or out of his mind and in the ring and doing like a jumping sunset flip from the top rope or something, and Ric Flair wasn't even there. Like, this dude was out of his mind. Um, so Kerry's gonna be hooked on drugs, man. Maybe he lost his brother. And unfortunately, Kerry, as I say right now, he gets in a motorcycle accident and has to have some of his foot amputated or something like that, which is going to affect his ring performance. So Ric Flair, he's champion again. The one they make a big deal about this match is a one versus Harley Race. I think. Well, anyways, Harley Race is a champion. Um, Ric Flair's gonna go for the belt again. This one I do know that from I read and saw or I think I saw one time Harley Race put a bounty on Ric Flair, so they have other wrestlers beat him up and stuff like that. And they made it a big thing called the Flair for the Gold. That Flair's gonna go for the top. They make it so big, they make it seem like Ric Flair is gonna wrestle for the NWA strap. They try to be for the first time. No, he's already been Dusty Rhodes the first time. But I guess that's the thing. I guess they're competing with Vince with WWE, so they're gonna have the whole Flair for the Gold thing, and they had a bounty on it and all that stuff. And it's gonna be a cage match. And I'm gonna tell you, I haven't seen this match that many times, but I saw it maybe 2 or 3 times, and I saw it a while back. They had the match. Harley beats out on Ric Flair's gonna use a chop. I remember Harley during the match goes the neck, and Ric Flair's like this, and then Harley slams the elbow on Ric's back of Ric's head, and hits Ric in the back of the head, and he's like, oh god, oh god. They're gonna battle, hit each other. Harley Race is gonna go. I like Harley Race's headbutt. He goes like this. He stands up. Ric Flair's on the floor, has him down. Harley Race goes down, and Harley Race will connect his head with Ric Flair's head. And Harley is known for doing the headbutt from the top rope, which if he landed that on Ric Flair would have been over. So I don't think he gets to use that headbutt. He didn't get to use it. He could have finished it right there, but Ric Flair is able to overcome Harley Race. Harley Race gets up somewhere in the middle of the ring. He's down. He gets up, and Ric Flair does a freaking Jimmy Snuka freaking cross body lock, and then hooks Harley's leg for the 1, 2, 3. And that is it. Ric Flair is a NWA World Champion for the 3rd time. So now we see Ric Flair's career progressing. He's already won it 3 times already. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'm doing this review because Ric Flair's a big name. Some people are more fans of Ric Flair than others. Um, to me, it's okay, I guess. But I will say that people later on in his career, he's gonna turn heel. You know, he's really gonna turn heel after the Harley Race win. Not maybe right away, but gradually. Once you guys know, he's gonna join the Horsemen, all that. People are gonna hate him more, and if you get people to hate you more, that's what more money, more ratings, more money. So he's gonna go that route, and I'm gonna say yeah, I'm gonna hate him back then. Here, he looks a little bit like a villain, but not like what he's gonna become after after he defeats Hardy for the NWA champions. He's gonna get worse. He's gonna have people hate him. He's gonna be more cocky. He's gonna get more money and all that stuff. So my thought that these are my thoughts on what happened. I should have said this before. I'm sorry, but I no, it's because right now I decided to end it because I'm already going a long time, and I guess you could say for the time he's an okay wrestler. You know, I'm gonna come out and say it. Ric Flair's not my personal favorite wrestler, but he is the most popular. No, not the most. He's one of the most popular, but I want to be honest. I know there's a thing about Ric Flair, but nobody's. I don't think he was popular than Dusty Rhodes, and I don't. No, he definitely was not more popular than Dusty Rhodes, and it is said from according to the Rock and Roll Express, and according to other people, Rock and Roll Express, those are the ones that were very popular. You know, and the Rock and Roll Express they're one of my favorite tag teams of all time. And I think I will agree that most people will say Rock and Roll Express are the most they're the they are the most popular tag team of all time. And if I think everybody else, I'm gonna say they are, you know. But they're very close. I'm very close to saying they're my favorite tag team. But a tag team that's my favorite, where they're not that popular, but I'm like, wow, is the Skyscrapers. Dan Spivey and Sid Vicious, which, I don't know, hopefully I'll do a review on them, but that team didn't make it because they just didn't have the will. Sid Vicious didn't have the will to, rather be playing softball. Anyways, this is the review on Ric Flair, and I'm going to see what else I can say about it. All I can say for sure, his career is going up from his first title win. I think it was in 1981 with Dusty Rhodes, till losing the belt to uh, to Kerry Von Erich, but gaining it back, and then beating Harley Race for the NWA title. Once he beat him for the third time, so his career is just going up, and the sky's the limit. I don't know when he really starts partying. He is married at the time. He has David Flair. He has another daughter with his first wife, which I don't know when they're gonna get divorced, but so things are looking up for the Nature Boy. I'm sure he's gonna be a little starved with his divorce, but hey, hello man, freaking wrestlers they don't have time to spend time with their wives. You don't expect them to stick around, you know. And if you do, you're super lucky. You know, not to say anything about wrestlers and their marriages, but it's just the truth. I'm pretty sure that's why Ric Flair's first wife left him, and that's probably sure why Ric Flair gets more like 4 times and they're gonna leave him. But this is about wrestling. I think go check out Ric Flair matches. Go look it up with Wally McDaniel. Especially if you're a wrestling historian, they're pretty good. Remember, they can do 450 splashes and all that. This is historian stuff. This is before they start doing that stuff. And the Mexican wrestlers are the ones that really brought that, or Japanese wrestlers, all that high risk stuff. But, you know, you like historian stuff, you like the chops and the hits, go look up Ric Flair versus McDaniel. Go look up Ric Flair versus Jack Black Mulligan. The matches are short, so if you get bored quick, you're going to like it because they're not very long. Check out the matches with the old school stuff, Ric Flair and Gene Anderson versus Minnesota Wrecking Crew. Um, Go see a Ric Flair and Steamboat matches are the same. Go check it out. You might have fun, especially if you're a Ric Flair fan. I'm not much of a big Ric Flair, but maybe you are. And if you are, I would not blame you because he's done a lot. He's done a lot for the business. Him and Hulk Hogan, I believe, put it. They're the main ones that put wrestling on the map and made the business of professional wrestling a lot of money. All right, guys, I'm gonna go into there. Um, I forgot. If you like my stuff, don't forget to subscribe and like. I do need subscribers. Um, Later on, man, I am gonna get passionate about this stuff because when I find topics, I get passionate. I really want to do it, I'll do it. But I felt I have to do a Ric Flair. Even though I'm not a big Ric Flair fan, I have to. If for my channel, I have to bring up the big stars of professional wrestling, like Hulk Hogan, Sting, Dusty Rhodes, and like I'm doing right now, Ric Flair. So I want to say, don't forget to, if you like my material, don't forget to subscribe and like. And I love you guys. And I'm gonna leave you with this: the the world will never be a perfect place, but we can all make it better. Till next time, my name is Alberto, aka Destroyer 48. Peace out. Take care. Have a good day. Love you guys. Bye.